to say. I've felt such a tremendous amount of anxiety recently. And I do feel like, well, it doesn't need a reason, first of all, but it likely is sort of a combination of things. I do think there's an immense amount of unease collectively. I don't think that's a stretch. I don't think that's hard to see. The intensifying of collective fears, but also the allowance in myself of emotions that I did not process, of fear that I did not allow in when it first came to be. This realization that yes, my body has been conditioned, patterned, programmed in such a way as to remain on high alert. And I know I'm not alone in that, and I do believe that actually just existing in the modern world as it is a pretty traumatic thing. You don't necessarily have to undergo some specific instance of unsafety to feel that way all the time, to be wired against the world. That is the message we're receiving all the time from every corner of society. The message is, you're not safe. Do something about it. You're not safe. It's the same as the message that says you're not enough. They're really all kind of the same thing. Our value and our security, we are told, are tied together. Only things that have value are taken care of. Why else would we take care of them? And of course, this is a surface level value. At a deeper level, this is true. Because everything is valued in its being, and everything is taken care of. But there's not this cause and effect that we imagine, that we inexplicably perceive in everything, that everything is a cause and an effect, everything you are taken care of because you're valuable. You have inherent worth. Being is incredible. Being is all there is, first of all. Being is all that there is. And it is miraculous. It is a value that is beyond value. There's no buying or selling. There's no putting a number on the worth of being. It is the experience. And it is an incredible, miraculous thing that anything exists. But it is also intrinsic in being that being is sustained. These are just natural features of being. It's incredible. It's miraculous. It's also utterly common and natural. There is nothing special about being. It is a miracle. The miracle that everything is all the time. It also can't stop being. It's also true that everything that bees continues to be. Being doesn't end. Being doesn't cease. Being can only keep experiencing. It can only keep being. And it wants to. It's enjoying this very much. If being didn't want to be, then I don't believe it would ever have been in the first place. Although there is some debate about this, and certainly the writhing against existing creates a great deal of suffering. But being takes care of itself in a way that is not taken care of as we know it to be. There's no efforting. There's no trying. Being just is and continues to be. There is never not being. And so being is the permanent. Being is that which is sustained. Being is that which is impossible to destroy, impossible to end. In order for there to be an end, that end would be. Would still be being. So being is eternal and eternally well and stable and secure. It's simply untouchable. And that is what we are. We are this. The awareness, the consciousness of being. Made concepts of all of this. It has some lingering awareness of security and worth, but instead of understanding the reality of those things, because it can't grasp that, it can only be felt. It can only be known directly by experiencing being without the clutter of concept around it. But it takes the absolute wellness and beauty and the appreciation of being and turns that into value. And because of its confusion with the world of forms, with the ways of being, with the shapes that being has taken, because it confuses that with the deeper reality, thinks that the way of being is where the value and thus the security lies. And that there is a way to be that makes one more valuable and thus more secure, or a way to be that makes one less valuable and less secure. And we have a whole society built around this confusion. Pretty much the entirety of the modern global market, of the capitalized economy, capitalized, industrialized, because that's important too. It's not just selling you, first of all, I mean, there's the whole ridiculous fact that we're sold things that we do actually need, like food and water, and that, again, are provided to us for free, naturally, by nature, by the rest of nature. All that any physical form needs to survive, all that being needs to play in whatever shape it wants to play as, is provided for, is sustained, because all of being wants this. All of being wants the diverse expression of the life which we are. And it knows that these forms require nourishment. That's a part of the design. We wanted to experience sensation, and we wanted to experience nourishing. That was built into the game because we wanted it to be. Because we want to experience everything that we can dream of. So all of the structures for this are built into the physically expressing world. If we have a desire to experience eating, then every part of that desire, fully fleshed out, comes to be all at once. There must be something to be eaten. Because when we have a desire like eating, it is a dual-sided desire. Because we are aware of our being everything. We are aware that every experience has two components to it. The experiencing and that which is experienced, which also is experiencing. So it's always this dual and reflected nature to being. When we have the experience of seeing, there is something that must be seen. And that which is seen is also having the experience of seeing. It's never split apart. It cannot be. Seeing, experiencing, is at once the perception and that which is perceived. And that which is perceived, being also being, because everything is, because there is nothing that isn't being, has all of the same characteristics of being. The same characteristics of the being that is perceiving are within the perceived. And so the perceived is perceiving, and the perceiving is perceived. And so we come into this world with everything ready to go. I want to eat, and there is food to be eaten that wants to be eaten. I want to drink, and there is water that falls from the sky, that rises up from within the ground. Everything that is needed to nourish and sustain this physical body so that I may have this physical experience, and that which I am physically experiencing may be so experienced, because that is a part of the desire as well. Water wants to experience being drunk. We are all of this. We are every component of this, experiencing everything that there is to feel. How exciting it is. How exciting it is to feel the breeze through your hair. How exciting it is to be that breeze blowing through hair. And to see yourself being felt on both sides. For the wind to see itself felt by the physical human form or other animal form. And for the animal form to see that it is being felt by the breeze. All of this is here. All of this is free. Why wouldn't it be? It is freely created for the enjoyment of it. It didn't take any effort. Nothing was used up. is no finite supply of anything that is going into the creation of experience. It's just being. It just is. It's effortless. Everything is a gift. But minds have twisted it and confused it, and that's okay. This is a part of the experience too. Nothing has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. We had to be really, really asleep so that we could really, really wake up. The greater the intensity, the deeper the degree of the sleeping, the more intense the awakening from it. Constricting the chains feel, the more liberating the experience of casting them off, of realizing over and over again, because that's what it is. That's how it is for me. I put the chains back on, I realize I've put them on, I take them off again. Another time I find the chains are back upon me because I have fallen asleep again. But I don't think any of that is a mistake. I don't think anything is going wrong there. I am learning more and more what it feels like by the repetition. What does it feel like to have the chains on? What does it feel like to take them off? I am really deeply exploring those experiences. The subtleties of sensation that are available to feel there. So often I find that this mind is filled with rhetoric, with words that for a very long time I have called my own. When they are not, they have never been. They are simply words. Words that were heard at some point and parroted, repeated. Of course, those words had to have some kind of first instance. Somewhere, at some point, there was the first hearing of them, the first imagining of them. And what a thing it is to be able to imagine, to tell a story with the mind about what is, and to tell a story that isn't true. The first time an untrue story was told, just imagining that in human history, in the history of being, the first time an untrue story was told was that story, I'm not enough. Something along those lines. I think that was the first story. I'm not enough. I'm not good. I'm not good enough. These are all kind of the same thing. I am wrong, I am some shameful thing, I am a mistake. That feels like the same feeling in all those words. And that feels like the first really, actually untrue story that we told. Whether that was the first time it was told by being, or just in the experience of being human. This lie seems to be at the core of every painful story. And again, nothing's gone wrong. What a sensation it is. What a sensation it is to make up such a fundamental untruth about yourself, but allow yourself as being to experience what it would be like to believe it. It can't actually be. And the pain that it causes is demonstrative of this. We cannot actually tell a story that is at odds with greater reality. There will always be that dissonance there that says, this one's not true. This one is so beyond everything that is known that we really just can't bring ourselves to fully believe it, which is also a wonderful thing, because knowing that we're playing the game is very important. That's a part of the fun too. Maintaining that stable foundation of awareness, which is always there even when wrapped up in the human experience, we're feeling totally disconnected from that. It's always there in the feeling. It's always there in the feeling. Even as a human being totally asleep to the reality of what we are as being, and the reality of playing this game here, of imagining and experiencing and exploring sensation. Even then, the greater part of being is fully aware of what's going on, and is never for a moment confused or afraid or uncertain or unaware of itself. And we had to create this little bit of a divide, this sense of a divide, in order to have such an intensely contrasting experience. To suspend disbelief, essentially. It's the very same as what we do when we read a book or watch a movie or play a game. There's a suspension of disbelief. For just a little while, we're accepting this as having some kind of truth, as having some kind of reality. We're really just not thinking too hard about it. We're diminishing awareness just a little bit. The totality of awareness. We're allowing it to focus into this place specifically. So when our awareness is focused very specifically here, and we're not bringing in all of everything else that we're aware of, we're not contradicting the truth of the experience that we're focused upon with the awareness that it's really not true. It really is just made up. And that's the only way we can allow the experience of something like believing the story that we're not good enough. Believing the story that anything could be wrong. Ooh, what if things could be wrong? That's the prompt. That's the what if? What if? Now stick with me. What if in this crazy, impossible reality? What if things could be wrong? Well, they can't actually be, because we can't actually defy the nature of being in which all of this is taking place. We can't actually defy the laws of the universe. Nothing can actually be wrong. But what if, how could we imagine that was possible? Could we drift ourselves into this distant, sleepy space that was just enough unaware of the truth, of the rightness of everything, that we could sustain, at least for a little while, because we can't sustain it forever, but for a little while we could sustain a belief in the possibility of wrongness, the possibility of harm, the possibility of not enoughness. What would that feel like? That's something we haven't felt before. That's a pretty new, novel sensation to dip our toes into. Let's try that. Let's try it. We know it can't last forever, and we know, again, we can't go against the laws of the universe. We can't defy the environment in which we are creating this scenario. But that itself is really cool. What's that going to feel like? To allow ourselves to believe a story that is in direct defiance of existing, of nature itself, of life itself. That's a pretty unique experience that I don't think we can get many places, if any other, than this particular dream realm. So, we're here to play the game. But we always knew, too, that eventually we would awaken. That a belief, that allowing the belief in a story that is so fundamentally contradictory to existing is not something that we can keep up forever. But we've done it for quite a while. And now we get to have that experience too. That was all a part of this playful experiment. What's it going to be like to remember again? To wake up from the dream? To wake up into the remembrance of what we are and what we're doing, to remember the rightness, to remember the wellness, to remember the absolute security, to have this new realization. We were born with this realization. Being comes forth with this realization. Being, which has always been, can't not know this. So what a way to experience the discovery of itself, that which has always been known. So how do you experience the discovery of something that's always been known? You have to forget. Of course, you can't really forget. You have to pretend that you're forgetting. You have to create an environment where you allow yourself the experience of forgetting by this suspension of disbelief, by this focusing of awareness that is just blocking out the knowledge. You can't really forget, you can only sort of obscure what you know. But it comes filtering back in. In fact, it's always there. It takes a lot of effort to obscure what you know. We've been working pretty hard at that for quite a long time. Impressively. I think what we've done here, what we've experienced, what we've created, the experience that we have created is quite impressive. And I say that as being, to all being. This is not a human thing. This is just being. Being has created this. That which we are has created this. And I think it's pretty fucking crazy. It's pretty cool. What a mind trip. What a fucking wild thing. To create an experience of forgetting as that which is all-knowing. To purposely sort of just obscure parts of the knowing, vast portions, the majority of the knowing, in order to have this experience of disconnection and separation and smallness and forgetting. And then the other side of that experience being the natural, again, no effort, because the effort was taken to forget whatever the squeezing that was required to push ourselves into this furthest extremity of imagination. What a relief to let that down and to just go back to knowing all and being well. But it's all fun. It's all been fun and continues to be fun. I was going to say something about not minding. That was what, at the start of this, was feeling the anxiety, feeling all the things, hearing the dark thoughts, the angry, the negative in the sense of pessimistic and of negatively judgmental, those kinds of thoughts, and realizing that if I just don't mind them, it's not such a big deal. If I recognize that they don't mean anything, they don't mean anything. It is just like hearing any sound. This sound happens to be a silent, imagined, spoken word, but it's no different from hearing someone saying that, from hearing that on the radio, which again is where we've heard it most often. The mind's just repeating. It's just repeating what it's heard. It's just picking up a signal that's been bouncing around for a long time. And that signal, like any signal, is just a bundle of electrons. It's just waves, it's just energy. And it has no meaning. It has no meaning. It doesn't matter, it doesn't mean anything. There isn't some truth contained in this collection of words. And so they're no different from having a song stuck in my head, from hearing birds singing. Really, it is all just an experience of sound. That means nothing. And looking at it that way, I can just hear it and be aware of the experience and not mind that it's there. Anyway, it's just a ramble. I gotta go. So that's it. Thank you for being. Thank you for experiencing this wild and crazy stretch of imagination. How amazing. How incredible we are. Truly anything is possible. If we can create this, this realm of forgetting and of perceived wrongness and perceived incompletion and not enoughness, I mean, this is an example of our unlimitedness, truly. Because this is wild. This is like against all the laws of physics, you would think. But I mean, it is. This is against the laws of physics. Essentially, the laws of existing, the laws of being. And yet, we've found a way that it's perfectly in line with it. Because being is free and well and secure. Just what a mighty dream we have dreamed. Anyway, I love you. Take it easy.